Hmm. Well, whatever. Welcome everybody. I'm streaming a little Bloodborne today. Maybe, if this is working. I'm not hugely sure, to be perfectly honest. This is the first time that I've streamed from a PS4. It should be working. Everything seems to be in order. So, a little background. I have completed this game once. I was fairly thorough in that completion, but I missed some stuff. I might have forgotten a lot about it in the interim days, but I'm fairly sure that I won't be bumbling around everywhere. I started this character as a noble scion because I wanted to go for a guns build. My last character was fairly well rounded and just sort of ended up with a bunch of random crap. Okay, so as you might have gathered, that guy over there is an enemy. He is a monster, a beast of some sort. I'm gonna try and beat him barehanded with a sneaky trick. Oh, it wasn't so sneaky. It's actually not very hard, it's just a test of patience. You also have no healing items, so there's not a lot of margin for error. The first time you do this, of course, you're going to get destroyed because everything in this game is so much faster than what you're used to. However, now my kung fu is strong. Sort of. This is a huge waste of time, by the way. You don't get anything for doing this. I just want to see if I can. Doesn't look like it. Maybe if I wasn't talking. But halfway through, I just sort of decided that, this is taking forever. And I sort of want a weapon. So, my Fists of Fury let off the werewolf lightly. I'm just gonna go with that one. Oh, also, just as an aside, I've got a pretty bad allergy attack going today, so if it sounds like I'm stuffy or having trouble breathing, I'm not really. It's just I've got a stuffed up nose because trees are pollinating everywhere. Um, there's also, I'm not sure how to configure push to talk settings if there are any on PS4 microphone streaming, so I apologize if you hear any coughs or sniffles or whatever. This doll was sort of the object of some speculation back when the game was first, not first, but when information was first coming out. People actually thought it was going to be like the Witch's Ring or the Tiny Being's Ring from Dark Souls 1 that didn't serve any purpose whatsoever. But people sort of let their imaginations run wild, and turns out the doll is pretty important. Gonna to go with the threaded cane because the Noble Scion is strength, not strength, more skill-based than strength-based. Also, the threaded cane is really cool. I'm also going to go with the Hunter Pistol because it scales better with Blood Tinge, and because I just think it's better, to be honest. The reason that I like the pistol better than the blunderbuss is that it's faster, and it's easier, in my opinion anyway, to get gun parries with it. And gun parries are pretty important. The messengers are little guys that will help you with various things. They act as merchants. But right now stock is limited. This hunter gear would be nice, but we are completely broke. The currency in this game is blood echoes and not souls, but I will probably still call them souls from time to time. Old habits are hard to break. The area we're currently in is called the Hunter's Dream. It's surreal, and that moon is totally huge. That is a concerning moon. Oh, hello. He's asleep. Let's leave him alone. Yeah, I honestly have no idea why people would use the blunderbuss, except for the fact that blunderbusses are kind of cool. I think there might be some error with their damage calculation, to be honest. Because it's like, the idea seems to be that it's weaker individually, but if all the pellets hit, they will do multiplicative damage, but that's not how it works. So they're just strictly inferior to pistols in basically every respect. It's super weird. The door into that lodge excuse me. Door into the lodge is closed. To get back to where we were, we can awaken at these headstones. These lamps act as archstones or bonfires. They're more like archstones from Demon Souls because they just take you back to the dream. But either way, they're basically checkpoints and warp points. As such, you should always, always, always be on the lookout for them. These messengers here with the notes are developer left, and they will teach you how to play the game, more or less. There's some more in the dream. Alright, let's settle the score. This guy's eyes are glowing now, so it means that he has our blood echoes. Not anymore. So, a lot of enemies in this game will drop blood vials, which is your primary source of healing. I think they wanted the primary source of healing to be rallying, but rallying kind of doesn't work. It sort of does against some enemies, but against important enemies it really doesn't. I recommend using it anyway because it's fun, but for actual healing, you really need blood vials. Unfortunately, that means you sometimes have to go farm them. Now, while I might seem a little down on this game in some areas, I do want to say that this game is completely gorgeous. It looks to be sunset right about now. Quicksilver bullets are your other staple consumable item along with blood vials, which is why they get their own counters up in the top left. You can fire the pistol at any time by pressing the L2 button. And triangle will always use a blood vial, so it's dedicated. I know my way around Central Yarnum pretty well, just as a rule. But I do kind of forget where a lot of the early game drops are. Like, just the items laying around, so forgive me if I dawdle. These are hunter mobs. Mob as in they are part of a mob that hunts, not mob as in this is an entity in a video game. They're not that lazy with their naming. Now, the reason why I like, and a lot of people like the threaded cane so much, is not only is it versatile, it just looks really cool. I mean, come on. You turn it back into a sword by slamming it on the ground. The little blood splats on the ground that emerge into gravestones are specters. They're basically blood stains from the past games. If you choose to look at them, if it works, which it doesn't seem to be working. Come on. At very least, sometimes a red ghost will appear that's another player who has unfortunately died. Now, I think one of the coolest things about this game is that when you're in an area, you can see pretty much everywhere you can or are going to go. One of these specters has to work. Come on. Nope. This is an unlit lamp. Quick snap of the fingers, and we can go back to the dream whenever we want from this location. Now, one thing that I wasn't hugely fond of about this area is that there's a lot of NPCs you can talk to through doors and windows. They are denoted by these glowing lanterns, but as you're exploring, there's honestly a lot of ambient lighting at this time of night, so it's hard to see.
Oh, you must be a hunter, and not one from around here either. I'm Gilbert, a fellow outsider.
For instance, I had no idea that Gilbert even existed until fairly recently.
Well, I don't think I could stand if I wanted to, but I'm willing to help if there's anything that can be done.
Gilbert sounds even worse than me.
Whatever you Blood, you say? Never heard of it. But if it's blood you're interested in, you should try the Healing Church. The Church controls all knowledge on blood ministration and all varieties of blood. Across the valley to the east of Yarnham lies the town of the Healing Church, known as the Cathedral Ward. And deep within Cathedral Ward is the old Grand Cathedral, the birthplace of the Healing Church's special blood, or so they say. Yarnamites don't share much with outsiders. Normally they wouldn't let you near the place, but the hunt is on tonight. This might be your chance. Across the valley.
Okay. That's all Gilbert has to say. Let's move on. Crap. Now, a feature of the game that does seem to be working right now is the Phantasm. This is the silhouette of a hunter from another world. You can't really interact with them, and they're not hostile at all. They're just nothing but hunting here. Okay. Pebbles are our first, I don't want to say consumable, but they're our first usable item, basically. They're very weak projectiles that serve mostly to lure out enemies from a pack. They're pretty useful early in the game, and late in the game in some situations. Notes are back, as they have been in every Souls game. All of the ambient asynchronous multiplayer stuff looks a lot nicer now because instead of just like little decals on the floor, it's the little messengers opening up notes written by other hunters. It's a nice touch. Some enemies, as always, like to play dead. Now, I also want to show off a certain aspect of this game that a lot of people might overlook. There are a lot of opportunities for stealth kills if you go slowly. You see, when you use a charge attack against an enemy that has its back to you, you will automatically stagger them. Staggering leaves them open to a visceral attack, which is basically this game's equivalent of a backstab or a riposte from the other Souls games. They're very powerful, and they can save you a lot of time if you're willing to just take it slow and walk instead of run. Occasionally, when you're in the Yarnum area, you'll hear the bell tower ring. I'm not entirely sure why or who's doing it, but there it is. This is the first shortcut in the game. It basically just opens up right back to the beginning area where we were earlier. The ladder we used to ascend is right over there. It's sort of pointless, but it's there. Alright, I am going to suffer greatly from my hubris and take this guy on. You are not supposed to fight this guy at any point, to be perfectly honest, but here he is. However, big enemies tend to have a weakness to gun parries, unless they're really big, in which case, not so much. Regular attacks don't do much to this guy at all. Your reward for beating him is 3 blood vials, and when you're starting the game, that's probably going to be a fraction of the amount you use in actually defeating this guy. If you have experience with gun pairing, though, he's not too hard. I rely on gun staggering and gun pairing a lot in my playstyle. I don't think as many people do as me. I'm sorry. I don't think people do that as much as I do. It's just a quirk in my playstyle. Then again, maybe they do. I don't know. I haven't actually watched very many people play this game. So as you progress through the streets of Yharnam, a lot of the enemies actually like to move around, as opposed to the earlier Souls game where enemies were mostly static. Looks like there's somebody home.
Are you that outsider? Well, sorry, but I don't want anything to do with you. Trot along, will ya? Are you that... Well, trot along...
Okay, yeah, Gilbert wasn't lying. The people in Yharnam are kind of... they're not very hospitable. Oh, hello. Molotov cocktails, like pebbles, can be thrown, and they go in your quick item belt. These items can be used with the square button, and you can cycle through them with the directional pad. Molotov cocktails, unlike pebbles, are actually super powerful, and that's a lot of dudes. Sorry, that sort of broke my train of thought. Fuck it, I'll just use one. Didn't do much against him because he had the mighty wooden shield. But normally that does a lot of damage to enemies, especially ones that are weak to fire, which is a lot of them. This mob just sort of moves up and down the street looking for victims. It becomes necessary to learn how to deal with multiple enemies. Oh god, the slowdown. I wonder if that's because I'm streaming. And one of the really nice things about the threaded cane is that its secondary form, where it turns into a chain whip, is really good at taking on multiple enemies. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but it's reasonably fast and it hits in a wide area from a distance. Also, it's just... I could probably sit here for a good 5 minutes just changing forms. Speaking of changing forms, there's something that isn't necessarily readily evident in the game when you first start. If you are doing your normal swingy combo, such as, you can actually hit the transform button in the middle to do a transform attack, which switches forms without actually breaking your combo. For light weapons, like the threaded cane, this is actually really useful. For weapons that switch between heavier and lighter forms, it's a little cumbersome because the transform attacks tend to take a good while. If you land a transformation attack, they're also, I think, a good deal stronger than standard attacks because they're a little more difficult to pull off.
How's your come on? You'd open the door on a night of hunt. Away with you. Now. How's your come? Away.
I've got a gun. Unfortunately, we have borne witness to the resilience of wood. This guy's a real fucker, by the way. You can't even lock onto him until he gets... Oh my god, that was stupid. Sorry. Okay, so this guy, he has a gun, and you'll probably just run past him, and he'll shoot you in the back, and it sucks. However, gun-wielding enemies will always drop quicksilver bullets, which is great. Oh, goodness. Bloodstone shard. Oh, god, camera. I'm sorry. Bloodstone shards are this game's weapon upgrade material. Also, I haven't necessarily talked about it in depth since the start, where I just sort of mentioned it in passing, but when you get hit, there is a period of time wherein if you hit back, you get health back. That's the rallying system, and it's denoted by when you get hit, there's a yellow bar that sort of takes the place of the health you had before you got hit, and you can fill it up by hitting things. Time for Bolt. I honestly don't know what they mean by that. There are lots of breakable objects in this game. This guy, whenever I come back here, this guy likes to get me a bunch too. If we actually take a look at these guys, they don't seem to be in very good shape. Like, I'm pretty sure his arm is about as long as my body. Probably don't want to take that on head on. You might notice that, hello, the larger hunters have more hit points. Hello. When so many enemies come up to you at once, it's best to switch to ranged options. Got so many of those, I might as well just use one. So, what was I saying? Sorry, this game takes some concentration. The rallying, multiple enemies, don't want to take on that place head on. Oh, right, storage. You can only hold 20 bullets or 20 blood vials at a time. However, the game is not so cruel that any you pick up are just left there. Instead, they're sent to your storage chest back in the Hunter's Dream. We haven't actually seen that chest yet, but it's there. Trust me, it's there. Gun-wielding enemies, unlike us, do a lot of damage, and they're fairly accurate. We're also fairly accurate, it's just the pistol is a pea shooter at this point. If you see an enemy with a gun, it's in your best interest to go after them first. If you dodge right at the time... Oh god, it's a dog. Speaking of dangerous, if you dodge right at the time that you hear a bullet being fired, you should be a... God damn it! These dogs are the worst. They attack so quickly that they can often just get through your chain whip strikes. So I'm gonna switch back to the sword, which is faster. Unfair. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's about right. Doing so well, too. This is the real punishment for dying. You have to sit at this loading screen for half an hour. I mean, they've made some pretty scary cats, too. So when you die, you just pop up back at the last lamp you lit or rested at or whatever. The best advice I can give to you is to not get impatient, because when you get impatient, you start taking damage that you don't need to. I could have sworn that was gonna... Never mind. Now, if you can get the enemies to go into environmental hazards like these burning crosses with the beasts on them, they will take a lot of damage. I would say that in the starting area, the enemies with the pitchforks are the most dangerous, aside from the ones with the guns. They just have really long reach, which is difficult if you're using this threaded cane, because in its default form, it's honestly pretty short. However, if you can close the distance, they don't attack very quickly, so you can just get in and stun lock them to death. I would not usually recommend wasting bullets on these really weak, simple hunter mob enemies, but sometimes you just want to rip a dude's guts out, I guess. The guys with the shields are very unthreatening. To attack, they have to lower them, and it's very telegraphed, so they give you ample opportunity to bypass the mighty wooden shield. That time went better. Hitting things without locking on is a bit of a crapshoot. I would say in the beginning of the game, it's worth your time to be thorough when you backtrack, just so you learn the area and you get some blood echoes under your belt. Oh, before I forget, weapons also have strong attacks as well as light attacks. You can charge up strong attacks by holding the button, and that will make them stagger. There's actually two kinds of staggering. There's the informal kind of staggering where they just get interrupted and stop doing things. Against most enemies, light attacks will do that, but strong attacks, if charged up, will make enemies stagger proper, which opens them... Good lord, the slowdown. Help, help, help. I don't like this. This game needs some work in terms of just the technical department. Alright. One thing to note is that while the Threaded Cane's whip form does have a strong attack that is actually pretty powerful, it cannot be charged up, so if you want to get a stagger, switch to the sword form. Or just use a gun. Alright, time to show off what a pebble can do. Basically no damage, but it does get this guy's attention so we can take him out without putting ourselves at undue risk. I honestly like the pebble as an item concept a lot. The key to taking out this area safely is to just not bite off more than you can chew. And after meeting my maker at the hands of Dog last time, I'm going to take the time and make sure that I don't jump the gun here. God, he needs a shave. Enemies with the glowing eyes means that they have absorbed your blood echoes. I'm not sure if this actually makes them stronger, but it just means that you need to kill them to get them back. Speaking of which... I believe that blood vial healing is percentage based, so the more vitality you have and the longer your health bar, the more healing you get from each blood vial. So they're basically effective equally at every part of the game. That's true. You can use a bullet to achieve more or less the same effect, or even a Molotov, but there's two reasons why you might want to use a pebble instead. The big reason is that they're silent, and you can easily pull one enemy at a time with them. The other reason is that pebbles are cheap as shit, and Molotovs and bullets not so much. So it's mostly about just wisely using your resources. The fight with the dog goes much better if you use the sword mode. It's just the threaded cane is kind of slow at super close range. It is really cool though. I'm sure that's normal. Oh, a straggler. Hello, straggler. I got away. It's just the whip has a lot of range. Cold Blood Dew are essentially coagulated blood echoes, if that makes sense. You use them to get a certain amount. Despicable beast. The saw cleaver is definitely a good weapon, so is the axe. I would not actually say that there is a bad weapon in this game. They seem to be in a good mood. Hello?
I don't reckon you're from round here. Well, sat outside on a night of the hunt. Oh, you poor, poor thing.
Unhelpful. There's a secret path back here, but I'm not inclined to take it just yet. This large fellow is the source of the noise. Don't be intimidated. The big guys are extremely weak to bullet parrying. I say they're extremely weak not because they take extra damage from it, it's just their attacks are all very telegraphed. Mostly. Oh, a torch. The torch is actually a fairly important pickup. Unlike torches in Dark Souls 2, torches in Bloodborne are unlimited use, and it's not like you can switch to them easily. They don't need to be lighted. They offer a lot of very helpful light, and they can even be used to attack. And the attack is honestly pretty good against enemies that are weak to fire. I'll keep my gun out for the moment, but I want that on my hotbar just in case. I hear a music box. I don't recall. Whatever. Okay, these are birds. They're bad birds. Horrible, awful, noisy birds. The chain whip is perfectly suited to taking them out. They also drop pebbles if you're in need of those, but to be honest, it's better to just buy them for the 10 blood echoes they are. Oil urn will come in handy. Alright, I'm trying to remember which is the right way to go here. I mean, there aren't really any wrong ways to go here. It's just that one I know will lead back to the lamp as a shortcut, and I know one will not. I just can't remember which it is. Whatever. I'm confident that I'll be able to survive. I'll go up this way. I think it's this way. The... Oh, okay. I just was totally not paying attention the last time I was here, I guess. Oh, God. Fortunately, dogs are pretty weak. They stagger easily, and if you are quick enough, they shouldn't be a problem. That's a pretty big mob, so I'm going to try this. A great deal more effective against enemies without the mighty wooden shield. That guy is just... he doesn't give a shit. He is just beyond caring at this point, I guess. Yarnum is pretty fucked up. Dogs are just so dangerous. I can't even, like, express how dangerous dogs are. Extra blood vials. The game is pretty generous with them in the beginning. Can't get through there. Okay. That didn't sound good. Alright, so these werewolves are kind of infamous. You do not want to engage them just yet. In fact, you want to avoid them. As best you can, anyway. They're honestly not very observant, so you can just sort of duck past if you need to. There's a secret path over here, as well as some miscellaneous goodies. Lots of bloodstone shards, which is good. You need a lot of them. More pebbles. A quasi-shortcut back if you feel you need it. Be sure to get a bit of a running start off of this so you don't fall too far. You can also just go over here and use the ladder. This is where the torch comes in handy. It starts to get a bit dank and dark down here. Falling damage is present in this game, but is usually pretty manageable. Now, as much as I do like the torch down here, I'm going to go with the gun. These large men are very vulnerable to gun parries. You can try sneaking up on them, but there's enough of them in the area that I don't want to do that. If I take too long sneaking up on one, another might get the drop on me in turn. Every enemy tends to have unique parry timings when firing the gun, so you need to adapt and be vigilant. Fortunately, their enemies at this point are still fairly staggerable, even if you don't hit the sweet spot. The sweet spot is denoted by that sort of sting in the music. Later on, though, experimenting with these timings becomes very punishing. A design decision I'm not especially fond of, to be perfectly honest. This fucking rat is ladder camping me. Jackass. Hello, he has friends. Rats are not especially threatening, though they can come in great numbers. They are slightly less threatening dogs, I would say. They sometimes drop throwing knives, which is handy. One thing to note is that you go to some gross-ass places in Bloodborne, such as giant rat-infested sewers. I would say that the golden rule of this game when fighting multiple enemies is when in doubt, dodge. You have a lot of invincibility frames and not a lot of recovery frames. So, if you feel it necessary to get out of danger, then do so. Rats are not actually particularly weak to fire, so the torch is only so-so, but it's still significant. Strong foe waits ahead. Oh, yep, there he is. Now this is one of my favorite techniques, the eye for an eye rally. Basically, you fuck up the timing a little bit, get hit, but you stagger them anyway, jump forward, and get your health back with the visceral attack. That lamp screwed me over. Our reward for coming down this side path is the Hunter Garb. This is our first new set of attire. It is a great deal more effective at defense than our foreigner's garb. Also, we look pretty cool. This set is slightly different statistically and aesthetically from the Yarnum Hunter garb that you can purchase from the messengers in the bath. However, this set is free. I also like the way it looks a bit better. Thick cold blood at this point is pretty valuable. A thing about the cold blood is that it's a little bit more obtuse, or perhaps less obtuse, honestly. It's different than the soul system back in the previous games. Whereas in those games, you would get tiers of souls that were like soul of a lost undead, soul of an unknown soldier, soul of a proud knight, etc., etc. These go by numberings. Like, there's 3 tiers of cold blood dew, 3 tiers of thick cold blood, and so on and so on. The numbers in parentheses do not actually indicate how many of these items you pick up. It indicates the level of it, which is kind of confusing to me, but it's probably a better decision in the long run. We could drop down at the end of that corridor, but it's a little dangerous. Now, I'm probably going to put off fighting those werewolves on the bridge for as long as I can get away with, because they terrify me. They continue to terrify me even after I've beaten the game. It's not, if there was just one of them, it wouldn't be a big deal, but two of them is a big deal. Oh, I must have missed this guy. Beware of animal and fear firearm. No kidding. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to end up biting myself in the ass here with this blood echo count. I am not used to this being a significant amount at all since I have beaten this game, and later on singular enemies can drop this much, but right now I'm carrying a small fortune, so I should be careful. Plenty of dogs around here, but fortunately most of them are in cages, which I admit is not very sporting, but on the other hand, fuck dogs. They can break out if you leave them to your own devices. I've seen it happen at least once. On their own, dogs are actually pretty manageable. It's just when they're with other things that their speed and ferocity really puts a wrench in matters. I would say that depending on your strategy, buying Molotovs is actually a really good use of souls. I'm sorry, blood echoes.
You're a hunter, aren't you? Well, you know of any safe place? I've heard of that. Shutting up indoors isn't always enough. Well, if you wanted to cut off your arses, you wouldn't be in this mess. You're obligated to help me, you hear? So what you do? Are you going to... You're different. Go on.
It's not that I don't want to help this old lady. It's that I legitimately have no way of knowing of any safe spaces at this point. Like, I suppose I could tell her, well, you see, you gotta go up to these magic candlesticks and then pray, and then you'll go to this magical place called the Hunter's Dream. But I'm not sure how helpful that would be. We'll have to come back later once we have found a safe space, any such things exist in this terrible, terrible place. Something messed up these stairs. Alright, we're about where I want to be. And this dank-looking clinic area, or maybe it's a house, I'm not really... Very agile for an old guy in a wheelchair that wasn't moving. Anyway, this is a fairly important building. And that doesn't sound good. So, I'm sorry, Hidden 5555, what boss do you need help with? I'm not sure I can actually intervene at this point because I know I need to progress farther in the game, but I can give you some advice. Lo and behold, here we are, back almost right where we started. This can be a difficult fight, but if you've been paying attention, then you will know that there are ways to deal with it. Basically, you want to get one of them to aggro onto you with, say, a pebble or maybe a gunshot. And then simply take them out. I'm having a bear of a time actually getting a gun parry here, but all's well that ends well. These guys are very valuable firing targets at all points in the game because they are more or less guaranteed to drop 2 blood vials each. That didn't go quite as planned. I was a little late. That's better. This is a... Sorry, I lost my train of thought. This elevator is emblematic of many elevators that you will find in this game in that it will not work until you find the side of the elevator you actually want to be on. So it's a shortcut for later. Now I find myself in a bit of a quandary, to be perfectly honest. I want to go back to the Hunter's Dream and drop off some of these souls, blood echoes. Blood echoes is their name. But on the other hand, until I find something specific, there's nothing I can really do in there. Except, buy Molotovs. This keeps happening. I really have to ask myself here if I want to do this or not, but I don't see much alternative. I mean, I have a full complement of blood vials and a reasonable number of bullets. What to do? The doll will not be active until I get at least one insight. I'm trying to think if there are any... I know... What a pickle. I have an idea, though. I don't think I'm going to throw myself into the jaws of danger just yet. Well, I mean, pretty much any direction qualifies as the jaws of danger. But there is a particular area here that I think might get me what I want without... Without. If we go down past where the cranky old lady was, we find this semi-hidden area. In addition to just various goodies that you can find, you can also cut down these strung up corpses. How pleasant. And when you descend, you will find the rewards. Oh good, somebody's shooting at me. I love that. Not very good aim, though.
Oh, a hunter, are you? And an outsider? What a mess you've been caught up in. And tonight of all nights. Here, to welcome the new hunter. Prepare yours, there are no humans left. Still, what's wrong? No. What are you, enough a hunt?
This NPC is Eileen the Crow. so named for her interesting garb and bird-like mask. She's helpful enough. Those bold hunter marks act as homeward bones that will transport you back to Hunter's Dream wherever without any penalty. Alright, so now for the... I'm not sure if it's difficult or not, but a slightly dangerous part in finding the way down. Once you get into this area, there isn't really a safe way down, so you simply have to drop. Fall damage is not really a big deal, of course, but there are enemies down there and they can take you off guard. I would like for him to come back so I could maybe drop on his head, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. Alternatively, it might happen, I'm just not patient enough for it. So, Geronimo. I said Geronimo. I am the knight. Batman used guns, right? That was his thing? Now, I will say that one of the most obnoxious things in this game is dealing with enemies on stairs and inclines. Despite the fact that I had a perfect gun parry there, I could not visceral attack because it simply did not register as me being near enough to do it, despite the fact that I was. This is... oh, god damn it. I guess I must have gotten too close. If you don't fuck it up, that's a great opportunity to just kill somebody outright. Now I gotta expend a bullet. I think I must have nudged his butt with my face by accident. How unpleasant. Cold blood dew. Oh, you were the one shooting at me earlier. Now, watching me play this, I don't want to toot my own horn, but watching me play this, you might get the impression that gun parrying trivializes the game somehow. That's not really true. It's very effective against these starting enemies and a bunch later, but it's difficult to master. It took me a long time. Each bullet is a non-renewable resource in the fact that you need to expend some effort to get them back. And, you know, if you fuck up, then you fuck up pretty bad. This is not good. I'm gonna retreat a little bit. Always a valid tactic. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If an enemy is low health and you have a reasonable number of bullets, then please do not be afraid to just shoot them to death. Better to waste a bullet than to waste a bunch of health. broadsides. They're never exactly in short supply, at least in this area. Let's see. Before we go down there, I actually want to go down again in this room. I just need to remember which side. Oh, great. Which side do I want to do it on? This will have to do. Oof. As an aside, if you're quick about it and there are enemies nearby, you can rally off some fall damage, which is a neat trick. Goodbye. Ah, there we are. I picked the right side. That is probably the first trick weapon that you're going to pick up outside of the free one you get from the messengers in the dream. The saw spear. Gonna go ahead and equip that. This nasty looking thing acts as a fairly standard slicey-dicey weapon. However, if you transform it, it elongates and becomes a spear. Honestly, more of a halberd if we go by traditional Soul setups, but it's got long range. It's a little bit stronger out of the box, just in terms of attack power, than the threaded cane, so I'll use it for a little bit. Durability is sort of a concern. Not much of one. It's a lot slower, though. Aha! I knew there was one down here. Now, ideally, I would just like to find one last shortcut, and then we can go back to the dream. The only complaint I really have with the saw spear is that it's really, really, really similar to the saw cleaver. I just feel like they're not different enough, in my opinion. But since we haven't actually seen the saw cleaver yet, that doesn't mean a lot. I guess since we're here, I'll go on the other side. I will go wherever there are shinies. There's also some rats here, of course. The spear form is in fact tough to use in tight spaces, but the compact form is not. So, versatility. All the weapons in this game are very versatile. Very nice. Jumping remains a thing you can do in this video game. There are still the occasional misguided bits of platforming that you are required to perform for certain goodies, but it's not a huge part of the game. Now, in wide open spaces, the saw spear transformed really excels. I see another bird there. Don't think you can hide from me, Buster. Bird's an item. A wonderful combination. The nice thing about the spear is that it has such a long range that you can actually fairly reliably charge up an attack against an enemy and do some real damage. I think I overshot. There it is. More oil urn. The oil urn will increase the amount of fire damage an enemy takes. Easy does it. There we go. Oh, the crow actually... Okay, that explains that. I was really confused that the reward for this would be a single pebble, but it turns out the crow corpse actually landed here too. Perfect 10. The counterattack mechanic also still exists in this game. It's not really spotlighted anywhere. Oh, and that's actually a pretty lucky find. I didn't know these things could drop those. If you attack an enemy that is in the middle of attacking itself, then you'll do bonus damage if your attack connects. This is not always worth it because some enemies cannot be interrupted out of attacks and you'll just take more damage than you deal. But it's something to be at least cognitive of. Excellent. I knew there were at least some madmen's knowledge here. I have a sneaky idea. Quietly. Excellent. No mercy for giants.
Wretched outsider. Trying to fool me to open this door. Heaven's depths of depravity.
Okay, fine. I just wanted to say hi. And the shortcut I was talking about is now open. Oh, somebody's here. This is a fairly important NPC.
Who are you? I don't know your voice, but I know that smell. Are you a hunter? Can you just go look for my mum? She never came back from the hunt, and she went to find him, but now she's gone too. I'm all alone and scared. Really? Oh, thank you. My mum wears a red jeweled brooch. It's so big and beautiful. You won't miss it. Oh, I mustn't forget. If you find my mum, give her this music box. It plays one of Daddy's favourite songs. And when Daddy forgets us, we play it to him so he remembers. Mum's so silly running off without it.
That's a little unsettling. Oh well. That dog, yes, that dog is dead. Thank goodness, dog is dead. Long live dog. This music box was the source of the music that I was hearing earlier that I had not yet heard before. At least not in this area of the game. If you use it, you get a cute little animation and it plays a little tune. Okay. I have done more or less what I wanted to accomplish on this foray. So I'm gonna find my way back to the whatchamacallit, the lamp. I almost called it a bonfire because I'm really good. Not that way. This way. I thought that was a live bird for a moment and not a dead ragdoll. This game is silly. Now, I am silly for forgetting the way down. Yeah, I hear you. I'll deal with you later. And here we go. Now, before we go, it's important to do this. This sounds totally safe. And here we are, back in the hunter's dream. The doll no longer seems much like a doll. And the messengers have another gift. The beckoning bell and silencing blank. Summoning works a little bit differently, but mostly the same in this game. I'll actually try and get into that a little bit this go around. What is insight? That is a good question. Insight is sort of like humanity from the first Dark Souls. It's not exactly the same. However, it is used to initiate various multiplayer things like humanity was. And you can also use it to buy certain items in a secret shop. And it also has a bunch of really weird and random effects on the world. It's honestly quite interesting. Anyway, let's say hi.
Hello, good hunter. I am a doll, here in this dream to look after you. Honorable hunter, feel the echoes of blood, and I will channel them into your strength. You will hunt beasts, and I will be here for you, to embolden your sickly spirit. Did you speak with Gehrman? He was a hunter long, long ago, but now serves only to advise them. He is obscure, unseen in the dreaming world. Still, such is his purpose. Ah, the little ones, inhabitants of the dream. They find hunters like yourself, worship and serve them. Speak words they do not, but still, aren't they sweet?
They could use some makeup, but they're pretty okay in my book. Alright, so the doll, voiced by the same voice actress as the Maiden in Black, serves as the way to level up.
Very well. Let me stand.
I, on this playthrough, want to focus on Blood Tinge. However, before we really go wild on that, we want some more of these. Vitality and endurance are extremely helpful.
Farewell, good hunter. May you find your worth in the waking world.
Oh, another gift. They are sweet. The notebook lets you leave those helpful notes that we've been seeing. I'm going to go ahead and put the notebook on my personal effects bar. You can access that by pressing the right side of your weird touchpad thing. This is my first PS4 game. I'm not very familiar with the system. Yeah, I did not actually learn how to level up until quite some time ago. I mean, I'm sorry, that's not... Until I was dismantled by a boss. I didn't even understand the trigger at that point, but I was grateful of the chance to get stronger.
Aha! You must be the new hunter. Welcome to the hunter's dream. This will be your home for now. I am Gammon, friend to you hunters. You're sure to be in a fine haze about now, but don't think too hard about all of this. Just go out and kill a few beasts.
Oh, I have been there, done that, I tell you what.
You know, it's just what hunters do. You'll get used to it. This was once a safe haven for hunters. A workshop where hunters used blood to enhance their weapons and flesh. We don't have as many tools as we once did, but you're welcome to use whatever you find. Even the dog, should it please you.
I really don't like the way he delivers that line. 1 second, I'm being called. Okay, I'm back. Hello.
This will
Okay, so German is being creepy. We can now explore the house. Oh, sorry, I should probably mute myself while I eat these. Okay, we have been fortunate enough to be blessed with quite a few bloodstone shards, so we can do some upgrading here. Now, because I want to sort of focus on firearms this playthrough, I'm gonna upgrade my pistol first. And I think I'll upgrade the saw spear a little too, because I've never really used it in depth before. There is also the storage chest. Right now we only have blood vials and quicksilver bullets stored, but later on, as we find more stuff, this will have more things in it. Stockpile Thomas is dead, Hitomi. I'm sorry. It is long past his time. Now, if we so desired, we could buy the Yarnum set, but the one we're currently wearing is just as good, really, and it's kind of a waste of souls at this point. Maybe later. More Molotovs, however, are always welcome. Alright, we've got a little bit left here.
Welcome home. What is... Very well. Let me...
But not quite enough. Sorry for wasting your time.
Farewell, good hunter.
Well, that's about enough time spent in the Hunter's Dream. Let's return to Central Yarnum. These loading times are still pretty brutal. If only they could have been avoided somehow, like being put on the PC.
Across the beat path.
Alright, Gilbert has nothing new to say. Ring the beckoning bell if you require assistance. I might do that, I might not. It sort of depends. I'm sort of proud when it comes to these games in a way that I really shouldn't be. An interesting quirk about visceral attacks is that you can actually use them against enemies that have fully run out of health. They will remain alive for a short time as long as they're staggered. There are a couple of reasons why this is advantageous. They're not apparent now, but they might be later. It's not too difficult to defeat the giants just by hitting them. You do quite a bit less damage than you do to the normal enemies. They have high health pools. But if you want to conserve bullets, or you just mess up easy pairing timings for some reason, I can't imagine why, then you just need to dodge their heavily telegraphed attacks and hit them a couple times. Alright, time for pain. You guys might want to turn down your audio a little bit. This is the cleric beast. The cleric beast most noticeable. God damn it. The cleric beast's most noticeable trait is that he is super fucking noisy. He will not shut the hell up. I can't believe that I'm missing so many of these. Now, the cleric beast can be a difficult fight, just because he never shuts up, it's hard to concentrate, a lot of his moves are sort of difficult to read because he's got so much scraggly hair, he can't really be gun parried. And the camera is not your friend either. I don't know why he just keeps spamming this. This is really starting to tick me off. Okay, that one hit. I'm just personally kind of bad at this fight. It's the screaming. It is legitimately the screaming. Also, you know when that happens and you can't see anything. Molotovs are helpful here. Shooting him doesn't do a ton of damage, but it's better than nothing. Once you actually learn his tells, it's not too difficult, but it's just this fight is so orally obnoxious, it knocks me off my ass. Utterly obnoxious. I will take those bullets, though, happily. The cleric beast does not really seem to serve much of a purpose, except probably giving you that first little boost of insight to access the doll and the rest of Hunter's Dream. Also, it's a pretty nice infusion of blood echoes. A lot of the bosses in this game suffer from cleric beast syndrome and just being super noisy and super irritating, and honestly kind of hard to read a lot of the time. Fortunately, I don't think there are really any as bad as him, just in terms of sheer obnoxiousness. However, that did drain quite a few blood vials, so time to waste some more, I guess. Oh, good. The worthless drop. Shining coins act like prism stones, except without any utility whatsoever. This works instead of bullet parrying. They're pretty slow to turn around. There we go. That's what the doctor ordered. Alright, I am going to actually return to the Hunter's Dream real quick. You might notice that we got that sword badge for defeating the cleric beast. There's another place to get that, I believe. I believe that I got it from a different place my first time through. But what it does is, it expands the inventory available in the shop. This is denoted by the kind of cute detail that another messenger appears in the bath. Now we can buy many things, including bold hunter's marks, the hand lantern, which I never found very useful, antidotes, this, which we're too poor to afford at the moment. We'll need it, though, it's required, and the Kirk hammer. Now, the Kirk hammer is considered by many to be probably one of the strongest weapons in the game, but it requires a lot of strength, and I'm not really into investing that much on this character. So I think we'll leave that alone for now. Oh, right. Okay. Actually, the two badges that I'm thinking of are slightly different. So there is definitely good reason to kill the cleric beast. I don't really want to buy anything at the moment.
Welcome home, good hunter. I must have drifted off. What is it? Very well, let me.
Now, I cannot stress enough how important it is to get your vitality up. The things in this game hit hard. They hit really, really hard.
Farewell, good hunter. May you find your worth in the waking world.
Garriman will actually spend most of his time out here, asleep. I mean, he looks pretty old, so I'm not going to give him shit for it. It also sort of denotes that when he does move into the lodge proper and wants to talk to you, it's fairly important. Yeah, blood tinge affects gun scaling. If you don't put much into it at all and you don't upgrade your guns, then your guns will simply remain parry bots. However, if you do invest in them, they become pretty powerful weapons in their own right. Especially certain ones. And there is one particular one that I can think of that doesn't actually scale off blood tinge at all, but is still ridiculously powerful. Now, whenever I visit Central Yarnum, I pretty much always take this route first. Mostly because it is a pretty sure source of silver bullets and blood vials. And you need those things. This guy in particular is quite generous with his quicksilver bullets. Once you feel confident enough, you can kill the werewolves up on the bridge, and they drop 3 blood vials apiece. However, at this point, that's still probably more investment than we would actually get out of it. You really, really want to master gun parrying if you can. Like, it's really difficult in a lot of cases, but it's really also worthwhile. Speaking of noisy, here are some birds. Okay, now I just kind of need to remember where I want to go next. I have a good idea. I just need to remember exactly how to get there. Though I do want to kill these two guys as well. Thanks to our investment in Blood Tinge and a couple weapon upgrades, our standard shots from the pistol actually do a bit more than our weak hits out from the Saw Spear, which is also upgraded a little. It's never really feasible to just genuinely not use a melee weapon of some description, but you can definitely make guns stronger. Oh, I'm actually going the wrongish way. It's not really the wrong way, but it's a way that is longer than necessary, so I'm going to backtrack and go the way that I intended to. Even though I've spent so much time in it, Central Yharnam still confuses me from time to time. It's a very layered area. Alright, I'm gonna regret this, but I want to at least show off how to fight these guys. Step 1, gun parrying. Step 2, take advantage of the fact that they don't actually have very much poise. Step 3, get covered in gooey bits. Yeah, this is the way. Basically, the thing that makes that fight so difficult is that there's two of them. God, I hate dogs. One-on-one, werewolves are still dangerous, but they're much more manageable. Even if you don't think you can get a stagger, charge attacks are still just numerically very powerful, so even if you're just like to the side of somebody who's otherwise occupied, then go ahead and go for it. They do a lot of damage. Alright, this is a dumb idea, but I'm going to try it anyway. Well, it didn't go as bad as I thought it would.